Kenzie, welcome to Built Different. Thanks for sitting down with me.
Hi, thank you so much for having me today, Alec. I'm so happy to be on here and get to talk about my health journey and just what got me into the health and fitness world today. So, thank you
Yeah,
for having me.
yeah, thank you for joining me. And I like to start with every guest by just really getting into life story. So I wanted to ask you, where were you born and where'd you grow up?
So, I am from Queensbury. I went to Queensbury High School, but I live more so in Lake George, I'd say. I'm like the countryside of town. So, I'm a country girl.
What was it like growing up in Queensbury?
Big yard, so I always had a ton of pets. I was always outside gardening. You have the lake right around the corner, so it's a lot of just being outside. I got into hiking as I got older, but Glens Falls has so many like family and community things to do, so it was always fun growing up, going to the balloon festival at the airport, Crandall Park. So it was fun.
Yeah, I grew up in Manchester, Vermont, and some of my fondest memories as a kid were going over to the Great Escape.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yes. And the Great Escape was a great trip. That was a real treat. I talked my parents into having a half birthday party. That's one of those things when you sometimes you do as a kid.
Yeah,
You t-
you have two
you
birthdays.
have two
Yeah.
birthdays, and because like growing up, my birthday is December 5th, and so it was a little tricky sometimes, given the cold weather, to get a good party going.
So what's the half birthday to that
It
then?
would be June 5th, so it was a perfect time for
Oh,
the Great
yeah.
Escape.
So much more fun. That was like everyone's after school babysitting in high school. I feel like the parents just kind of dropped you off there and you would walk around after school.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
And then Lake George, I'm old enough to have remembered Water Slide World.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever experience that?
Oh, yeah. That's like the go to where the babysitters would bring you. You
Okay.
had to. It was so fun, but they definitely hurt your butt.
Yeah, it's sad that it's closed now. But then also, I remember going to Glens Falls as a kid because I love hockey, love sports. And I would go to some Adirondack Red Wings games back when they were the Red Wings in the 90s. And it was awesome because the Detroit Red Wings at that time were really good. They were winning Stanley Cups. And so all the guys on the team would just kind of fight each other on the ice because that was the only way I think they thought they could make the NHL team.
No, they're trying to impress everyone. They're trying to make their mark.
Yeah.
No, those games were so fun. Like I remember my best friend Alyssa and I, we went to every game for the hockey games. We were in high school. That was our go-to spot.
Yeah.
It was always fun though.
So in high school and thinking about kind of fitness and wellness related things, were you an athlete? What was your relationship with kind of fitness and wellness back then?
Yeah, I played volleyball. I was really into it. I started when I was in middle school and I was libero, but I had a back injury when I was like 14 or 15. So I ended up going to the YMCA every day after school and working out there for a while. I tried getting back into volleyball, but my back injury, I just couldn't push through it at that age. So I just got into going to the YMCA with my friends. And it wasn't until I got to college that I started to really take it serious going to athletic training. I went to, it's called the gym. Right now it's in the Aviation Mall in Queensbury. But Ryan Holderman there, he's a great trainer. And the main thing I learned there was mindset. He really got me out of my head. And I think that's what made me so passionate about the fitness industry because I learned that's kind of like your 1 hour of therapy a day, too. Do you agree with that?
I do. I think mentality is huge. That's a common theme for so many people that I talk to, regardless of where you are on your fitness and wellness journey. You have to confront that relationship with yourself. So, what were some of the things you learned in those early years of approaching training differently with your mentality?
So when I played volleyball, I always just kept up with doing traditional training like that. And wasn't until I got into going to the gym 518 when I started doing more athletic style training, utilizing the TRX like suspension training system. And he was just a great overall trainer. He knew how to make modifications where I didn't even realize that I had hypermobility in my joints while I was training there at the time because it was just all fundamental training and stabilizing training. So that was when I think of like the strongest I ever felt is definitely when I trained there.
And we were talking a little bit before we started recording, and you've given me some overview of your overall health journey. And you used the words kind of the strongest you ever felt. And you talked to me about how you've had a long journey
Hmm.
through chronic illness. Can you kind of outline where that really started for you in relation to your overall fitness and wellness journey?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, so my last name's Shutts, so my nickname was Klutzy Shutsy. So I was always kind of getting injured, but I didn't think much of it until I was training at the gym. And I remember it so clearly. I could hold 75 pound kettlebells in each hand while I was doing walking lunges, and I felt so strong. And within a year, it got to the point where I could barely hold 5 pound like weights in each hand, but my legs still felt strong. So I knew something was going on, and I was having tests done to figure out why I was so tired all the time. But that's the thing with chronic health is you'll have the symptoms for sometimes like 10 years before you really get answers. In college, I was at SUNY Adirondack and I went away with friends for Halloween weekend one weekend. And I just came home and it wasn't like a hangover. It felt like I was hit by a truck. And I ended up missing, I want to say like 2 months of school, had to drop out of like half of my classes, even though I was a straight A student. Um, and that was like something's really going on here because I would be in bed rest for 2 weeks and then me just walking to class when I finally was cleared to go, just the distance of walking a quarter mile from my car to the building would have me on bed rest again for another 2 weeks. So that was like, okay, something's going on here, but nothing was really showing my blood work for a while. And I remember the day so clearly when I was working at Gaffney's in Saratoga during COVID. I went to hand somebody a plate of chicken wings and my hand just gave out, completely lost my grip strength. And in that moment, I was like, okay, something's clearly going on here. Cause at the time I ate perfect. I worked out 5, 6 days a week. I was doing everything I knew that this is what you have to do to be healthy. And it didn't make sense because when people think if you're sick, you must be making all of the wrong choices to have gotten you there. And that's something I really like to advocate of. Don't shame someone if they're sick because you don't know the how or the why or like how it even started. A lot of the times it's hereditary. It can be lifestyle factors, but with rheumatoid arthritis, that's something that's hereditary, as well as hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. That's something where they only just found the gene for that last year. So it's been traditionally a clinically diagnosed. It's a 3-hour appointment where they go over every question about your entire life since you were a child. But it is not easy to get those answers because then once you get the diagnosis, then it takes years to even get the correct treatment plan. And the thing with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is because it's a connective tissue disorder, it affects every system of the body, which turns into referrals to see specialists for every system of the body. And then those appointments are usually 6 months apart. So it's not like a quick process whatsoever. And you're trialing medications for 6 months to give it a shot to see if it works. And maybe you're puking 25 times a day while you're doing the IV infusions and you're still working full time. Like that's a huge misconception I think people don't understand too is when you get these diagnoses, your life doesn't stop. You still have friends and family obligations and you still have to handle all of this and still create a living for yourself. And a lot of people end up working jobs they're not passionate about because they're just trying to survive. And for me, I remember the day so clearly being at Anytime Fitness talking with this gentleman who had Parkinson's and him telling me like, you have to keep working out because if you don't, like you have to keep strengthening these stabilizing muscles and doing the fundamental lifting to keep your body healthy and strong as long as you can. So when he told me that, I actually purchased the NASM personal training and nutrition courses just because I wanted to learn it for myself. Because if I'm going to be stuck with this the rest of my life, like I need to know how to take care of myself. So that's just, even though I'm not a personal trainer, because I'm not medically cleared to be a personal trainer, I try to share my advice and just my life experiences as much as I can. At this point, I've done physical therapy for every body part. So it's one of those things like when you're living in pain for so long, you want to do anything you can to help someone not also go through it. And that's where HotWorks has been a huge, huge game changer for me. In the same year that we switched from doing IV infusions to doing the Humira injections, I also started working at HotWorks. When I joined them, they're in pre-sale. So in theory, it seemed like it was going to help me, right? It seemed like it was great for flushing out inflammation. It was isometric low impact, but the closest location was like 4 hours away, 3.5 hours away. So I drove out there just so I could experience it first.
Where were you driving?
We went to Massachusetts.
What part of Massachusetts?
I think it was Northborough, Massachusetts.
Okay, that's definitely a drive.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I want to unpack something, and I definitely want to get into HotWorks, but I want to go back to the very beginning when you first really figured out this diagnosis. Because autoimmune stuff, and I deal with psoriasis, and you know, definitely excited to talk with you a lot more about skincare and aesthetics and your background there. but I really want to unpack kind of the emotional state that you were in when you first really were figuring out this diagnosis.
Oh my gosh, I seemed like a nutcase to everyone in my life at the time because I was literally so emotional about it. Because
Yeah.
imagine getting gaslit your whole life about you're just being dramatic. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just being dramatic. And then you finally find out, like, wait, I'm not being dramatic. Like, something's going on. And a lot of people all of a sudden look at you different too because now there's something wrong with you.
Yeah. But getting that information, how did that feel to be able to actually have a diagnosis and sort of have a path forward of how to actually deal with it and manage it?
Well, I'm so thankful. I go to Dorothy Lacombe in Clifton Park, and her team really took me under their wing because my family does the snowbird thing. They go down to Florida half the year. So I was actually by myself for majority of all of my health treatments and physical therapy. So having that office was huge because I would be sitting in the infusion center for hours sometimes, and I would go once a week, and they really were like a huge lifeline for me during those times. Because the thing is, you're grieving the life that you always wanted to live before you knew you were sick, before you start to have these issues happen. So when you find out you're sick, then it's like, wait, like I've seen my aunt's hands, like her hands, she has rheumatoid, severe rheumatoid hands. So me having all these issues and getting this diagnosis at such a young age, it makes you think like, what am I going to be able to do the rest of my life? Am I even going to be able to use my hands? I went from being someone who waitress for a great amount of side money. Do you lose that additional resource of ways of getting additional income because you can't use your hands or you can't do the things you want to do? So growing up, like I remember I wanted to be a CEO of my own beauty company. Like I had all these hopes and dreams, but every time I had to withdraw from classes, it pushed out finishing college a little bit farther. So you really start to mourn like everything you want. And it took me being on bed rest multiple times where you're just laying in bed thinking about everything you would do if you were to feel better. Like I could not wait for the day that I would feel better because when the days would come I would feel better, I would take on the world. Like I had to do everything and everything. It felt like I would just like be sprinting. Like you know when it's a gray, rainy week and you finally get that sunshine on your skin and you just feel it warm up your entire body and you just feel like you're alive again. That would be the days like how I would feel if I didn't wake up in an 8 out of 10 pain scale that day. Cuz there's something with autoimmune, which I'm sure like you realize too is like baseline pain. So as the issues keep accruing, your body just kind of normalizes it. It was like, "Oh, this is just our new normal." Oh, something new happened? Okay. Well, now it's normal. And it gets to the point where I would tell my doctors I thought I was living on a 6, 7 pain scale, right? And I was taking 2 tramadol a day just to get through working a part-time job and then full-time job. And it was, you're trying to use your brain and you're still trying to work and go after your dreams and pay your bills and live a life that's still fulfilling for you, but you're in so much pain. It makes it feel like it's never going to happen. And it wasn't until I was introduced to HotWorks where I realized like shit, like I was in a lot of pain because what I was describing as a 6, 7 pain, now with having the Humira injections, like after it's been a full 2 years now, and then HotWorks is going to be 2 years this September. Like I realized my daily pain level was like an 8 out of 9, 8, 9. And I never would tell them a 10 at the hospital because I never wanted to admit that it had gotten that bad. Like I always wanted to believe it could get worse. Like it's not as bad as I'm thinking, you
Yeah,
know?
I want to ask you though about the autoimmune treatment that you do because I always like talking with people who actually have been through some type of autoimmune health journey. I used to take a biologic injection for myself, and for long-term considerations, I abandoned that treatment about a year or two ago. Mostly just because I just was not comfortable with the idea of continually for the rest of my life injecting myself with, strong a pharmaceutical drug. So I've approached it more holistically, done a lot of elimination types of things, cutting out alcohol, most sugar, gluten. Have you approached any of that for yourself in terms of treatment?
Oh yeah. Um for one, I believe in a combination of holistic and going the traditional route. Like I think you need both because you can be on a great medical treatment like a biologic and still have gaps that aren't being covered with your treatment plan. So my sister actually, she is a bit older than me. She studied herbalism for years. She is so smart. She has like 2 master's degrees, like this girl. So when I first started getting sick, she diagnosed me years before, being like, I think you have a rheumatoid issue, and started getting me tinctures to take. So I take tinctures, like lion's mane, even too, to help with like neurological side effects. I've been gluten free since high school, but I definitely cheat. But that's
I do too.
something where you learn, like my doctors kind of taught me, like, Kenz, you have this your whole life. So are you going to go your whole life always sitting on the sidelines, or when is it worth it to trigger a flare up? So if it's like a special event, maybe I'll eat a little bit of gluten, or I'll have a couple of drinks to celebrate with my friends, or, you know?
Yeah, alcohol I'm very strict about. I haven't had a drink in 2 years, and that's also kind of mostly thinking about aesthetics, and the more studies I look at, kind of the overall effect of alcohol on the
Oh, it's horrible for
metabolism.
you.
Yeah. But is that difficult for you to kind of navigate some of those conversations with your friends who might just not understand that you're making these intentional health choices?
um, so when I first was diagnosed, my parents were snowboarding. I lived with my best friends, and they brought me to my first infusion. They sat with me. They've taken me to the hospital and countless times from having flare ups. Like, looking back, I was always extremely vocal about how much they were there for me and how much I appreciated them. But what's hard is I know they had to grieve the version of me from the before I got sick to during sick, of I couldn't be the same level of friend that they were always used to. I couldn't be the yes man to everything. I couldn't make every birthday so extravagant for them, or I couldn't necessarily afford to travel with them as much as they would like. And it wasn't until a couple years ago where it just, not everyone is comfortable with seeing you start to do well again, I learned. Because some people get comfortable with you being down bad. And as unfortunate as it is, some people just, they want to keep you in a box of, this is how I see you now. And there's no getting out of it. And I just, as unfortunate, and it makes my voice crack thinking about it, but I've had to walk away from so many friendships. I poured into just myself these last 2 years because I used to be such a people pleaser. And with autoimmune and just life in general, I always think like you can't pour from an empty cup. And how was I supposed to take care of myself having all these issues, going out drinking while on infusions just because I didn't want to miss out, hang out with my friends? Like, such unhealthy lifestyle that I lived, but I wanted to live as normal as I could, and they went out of their way to help me live as normal as I could. But looking back, like, I shouldn't have pushed myself to just stick with the crowd as long as I did. It wasn't good for my health. Because now I don't go out and drink more than 2 drinks a month, maybe. And the people that are surrounded by me aren't making me feel bad about where I am in my life because of my health situation. They aren't speaking to me as if I'm behind in life because of it, or like I'm less than because of that. And I think it's important to focus on like the people who are trying to help you and like see your dreams in you too. Because once I got healthy, it became okay, now I want to move on to this next chapter. Like when I was at Hotworks, like I was so excited to like build and pour my heart into this fitness studio. And my favorite part is hearing the impact of how it helps my members. And I've built so many amazing friendships through that are carrying over into my aesthetics career with me too. They came and supported me while I was in school, and I was doing facials on them. And I've surrounded myself with such wholesome friendships of people where we help each other work towards their goals all day, every day. And not everyone in your life is from day one is going to be with you at the end when you think they are, but it's okay to appreciate the people that did stick around and did grow with you. I think that's a huge thing. Cause like some people are gonna think you're the weird girl who talks about her arthritis all the time, and that's okay. But by me also being the weird girl who talks about her arthritis all the time, we now have a studio that's one of the top studios in the country for the amount of members that we have that love to talk about their testimony of how much it's helped them. So is it that weird that I talk about having RA if it means all these people now feel better? Like the number of people who have cried to me saying in 10 years, I've been in so much pain. This is the first time I'm not in pain. Their husbands going out of their way to come see me at the studio to thank me on their wife's account for how much better their wife's doing. Like, That's so much more worth it to me in the end. Even if it looks like I'm silly posting these TikToks or posting these little videos, like if you don't try, you can't get better.
Yeah, there's so much strength in knowing who you are and being unapologetic in who you are. And thank you so much for sharing everything you just shared, because so much of that I identify with within my own fitness and wellness journey, where you talked about people kind of being in love with a version of you that you know isn't necessarily the version you yourself are in love with. That's hard,
Mhm.
because there are certain friendships, there are certain relationships that maybe were very impactful and important and positive to some degree, but you also know that in order to get to where you want to be and the things you're prioritizing, in some cases, you have to say goodbye to certain friendships and relationships because they're loving a past version of yourself, not the version you are and not the version that you're working to become in terms of becoming a better human every day. When you think about the community of people that are around you now, what are the qualities of your friends, of kind of intimate people in your life? What are those qualities of people that you're drawn to in terms of kind of pushing you further in your own growth journey?
Um, so I realized how to be my own best friend, which I think is the most important thing because you can't be your own best friend. Like at the end of the day, if there's something you want to do, there might not be anyone next to you saying to do it. So you have to be your own hype man. You have to be your own biggest cheerleader of I can do this. If I want to do it, I'm not just gonna sit on my butt all day. Like I'm gonna go do it. And that was a huge thing with like my health journey, the mindset carrying over from the gym to every aspect of my life. It's, well, let's not focus on what we can't do because there's a lot I can't do. My arthritis, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I make the jokes, but it's true. So it's like, well, let's not focus on what we can't do. Like, what can we do? That was day one of meeting Ryan Holderman at the gym. He was like, I've heard you say can't more than can. Like, let's focus on what you can do. You need to watch The Secret, get into thoughts become things, and learn how to control your mindset. And when you do that, you can do anything, you know? So the friends that I have now are ones that they believe in themselves. They don't believe in bringing down another person. I won't have conversations that are around bringing down another person. I'm unfortunately, if you talk badly about someone around me, regardless if I know them or not, or if I agree with you or not, I'm going to defend them. That's just who I am. And I stopped having shame about that. Um, and two, like, you have to be passionate about something because I'm someone that's so passion led that if you're just going through the motions of life and you're not trying to do any of the inner work, like the shadow healing, like the inner child healing, if you're not doing anything to figure out who you are and what drives you, then it's hard to be in your life because that's such a huge aspect of me. And it feels like those are always the people who think you're too much because they haven't found themselves.
Exactly. That's something you have to learn, that most of the time the heat that you get is really from people just being insecure about themselves.
Yeah, like so many people have amazing talents, skills, and they just don't have it in them to take that step of potentially embarrassing themselves or potentially making a fool of themselves. Like they're so caught up in being the version of them that everyone wants them to be. Cause I was in that for a long time. Like I have ADHD, and a huge aspect of that is masking. And I didn't know I had ADHD for so long because I was so good at masking of how to fit myself into the bubble that I needed to be. And when I fully accepted, like, I'm not meant to fit in this box, I wanted to surround myself around people that didn't fit in a box as well. Cause that's where you're getting the creativity. That's where you're getting the uniqueness. Like with Hotworks, like we are our own niche. Like you can do this as your main form of workout. You can do it as a supplement. Like it doesn't have to be like the main thing. And when I realized I was explaining Hotworks like that to people is when it clicked to me of like, I'm my own niche. Like I'm into health and fitness. I'm into wellness. I'm into aesthetics and beauty. Like just because I don't fit into a box of what's currently on the market of like industry standards at the time, like it didn't mean I couldn't find my place. And that's where I'm so excited to start my journey at Eden because I'm being a skincare specialist with them as well as an esthetician. And they are all beauty, health, wellness. They do the vitamin injection. So, like, for me, I can really kind of tackle all my dreams with them too. And it's going to be right down the road from Hotworks. So, I'll be able to still keep my Hotworks peeps in my life. And it's going to be great.
Yeah, let me ask you about the skincare piece because I want to go back to something that we talked about before we started recording,
Yeah.
which is that when you were younger and you referenced kind of inner child healing, when you were younger, you were telling me that you felt that you were judged for your looks
Mhm.
and sort of told some in a weird way, you're being put down for something that ideally great. If you feel like you look good, that should be a positive. But in this case, you were being attacked for it.
Yeah, it's something I always experience. I remember even back in high school, like I was in physics class, and because I have a hard time of waking up in the morning, I maybe skipped class a little too much. And I just remember my teacher one day being like, "Ken, just show up to school for a full week and then take the test so that the classmates like understand you're smart, you're not just pretty." And I had the highest test grade just for going for a full week. And that's not me being like, oh my God, I'm amazing. But that just kind of like proved to myself of like, okay, I actually am smart. I just need to apply myself. And because I'm very into beauty, health, and wellness, like you really don't even know I'm chronically ill because I'm so into the beauty stuff because I learned spray tans are my best friend.
Yeah, we joked about that. How your spray tans help. Otherwise, you feel like you'd look like you have chronic illness. So that's why you need the spray tan.
It really though, everyone in the studio hears me say that at least once or twice a week. Like spray tans life changing for me. But that's the thing. It's like I just remember being at a previous job where even though I had great sales, I was known for having great sales. I was always known for being a hard worker, a team player. Like I am a very hybrid role type of person. If you need help, I'll learn the skill and help you. So it was just disappointing having a manager speak down to me of telling me the only reason that I was successful was because I was pretty. And if I ever wanted another career, like I couldn't leave there.
Now, can I ask, was this manager a male or a female?
It was a female. And it was very disappointing because I'm someone that I like to be open about my health issues so that people know that I'm not BSing. Like, I am a hard worker. I'll show up for you 110%. But when life happens, I need to go to the doctor or I need to go to physical therapy. It's not a choice for me. And I actually had to learn about advocating for myself a lot between going to doctors to get them to take me seriously, right? Because I don't look sick, or to just even keep getting insurance, keep approving PT, all this stuff. But the huge aspect was I learned about FMLA and how it's built into it for certain autoimmune diseases that if you're sick, like nothing, like you can't be let go from your job if you keep within like a certain number of days and hours that you can miss. And that was huge for me because looking back at my days in college, like I've had to leave jobs because of the health issues
Yeah.
before. So I'm someone where I feel like I've learned a lot of skills over the years because every time the health issues happen, I almost had to restart my life.
Yeah, you've battled through so much, and I love just listening to you kind of go on about your journey and all these things you've overcome. And I think a lot about some of the women in my life who I've had the chance to work with. Prior to my current life as a political consultant and a lobbyist, I worked in the New York State Senate. And I had a variety of different roles. And when I left, I was the supervisor of all women. And they taught me so much
Mhm.
of how to be a better listener, how to be even more of a supportive man, thinking through also just the right ways to support them, not too much, not too little, but kind of giving them the space to come to me with things. But I also saw that many of them who also happened to be fairly attractive were often judged for their looks, even though I knew they were extremely smart and capable. And
Mhm.
that's why we hired them because they knew how to do the job. And they were also very relational people too. So when you think through your entire life journey now, going back to that moment and now, going into your work at Hotworks and your work in aesthetics, overall, like what is your ongoing feeling about that kind of environment for women in the workplace?
I think I remember being front desk and it clicked. All these successful people would come in to get treatments done. And they were doing it because they are so intelligent. They are so successful in their life. If they need to make a small investment into increasing their confidence so that they can go get on a stage and do what they need to do every day, why the hell not? Like, there's these options out there where it's like, if it's the smallest tweak that you can do and it increases your confidence that much, like for me, like I grew up always feeling like an ugly duckling. Like my sister was a pageant queen. My whole basement is lined with first place trophies from her. And wasn't, I was like the little ugly duckling, and that's okay. And I was overweight. And like my grandpa, I remember the day because he was obese, he picks me up on his lap and asks me if I liked being fat. And I was like 7. So it's like for me, like people speak to me and they tell me this all the time. They're like, I expected you to be mean. I expected you to like be completely different.
Like Regina George from Mean Girls?
Yeah,
Like
because I quote Mean Girls, but it's not because I relate to Regina. Like I was the one getting bullied. Like what were we talking about? But
yeah.
it's just like that's also like I like to treat people with respect, of like treat them how I want to be treated, because I know what it's like to be the person where you get looked over, and then all of a sudden your 20s hit and you have a little glow up and people act like you were always a mean girl, and it's like, no, just take the time to get to know me. Like I'm the biggest softie.
Yeah, and that's really hard. And I start to see it now when I walk into a room. There's certain people that may judge me negatively
Because
based
you
on
hold
being,
yourself well.
yeah, based on being physically fit, carrying myself with confidence. And it's a weird feeling because I think, like you, I just stand there and sitting there being like, I've been through all this stuff. Like, I want to connect with you. And
Hmm.
I think both of us have a lot of empathy for people who have been through or are going through really intense things because we've both been there. So when you think through your work now, HotWorks, I love how you light up talking about it and you're so passionate about it. And shout out also to Marcus.
Oh, I love Marcus. He's the best.
Marcus is my guy. We're both big WWE guys, but I got to know him through working out at Orange Theory, and I know you guys have been crushing it with your pre-sales and building out HotWorks in Latham. I had the chance to actually go to HotWorks in Del Mar,
Okay.
and I did some content with them, and that was great. But you've talked a lot with me about your sense of how the HotWorks structure and the heat and the infrared and all that really has helped you personally. Can you walk through for you? What do you feel like are the biggest perks and benefits for your own personal fitness journey of HotWorks?
So, what's amazing is when you work out inside of an infrared sauna, because it works cellularly, it's actually heating you up from like the cell. So, it's not a humid heat. So, traditional saunas are HVAC runs. So, they're heating up like the water molecules in the air, which makes it very hard to breathe. So, I'm someone that faints in humid heat. And so, since I've been in the heat and I've been detoxing my body, like I can now be outside on a hot summer day and not have to worry about fainting, which is great. um because of the infrared as well, it really helps with relaxing my muscle spasms and my joint stiffness. So for me, I can do, when we first opened up, I was doing all my physical therapy exercises that I wasn't able to do outside the sauna because it was stopping the muscle spasm, so I could hold the pose longer. And also, it's all low impact based workouts. Even the HIIT workouts we have are low impact. So it's cycle, it's blast, which is an elliptical spin bike. And then our rower is perfect if you're trying to like work the whole upper body because it's 2 handles instead of 1. So you're doing it for the individual arm exercises, not just doing it as a cardio workout. In the TRX area in the back, that's one of my favorites because I can't have impact on my knees. So I'll put my feet into the shafts and do my mountain climbers up there. I do a lot of my ab workouts on there. So for me, like it's literally everything the doctor ordered because I'm able to detox out my system to try to lower my inflammation. It's helping to improve my blood pressure. I have low blood pressure. Like every single thing that you can think of on the list has helped me. And that's very rare, I feel like, because a lot of the times, like, there's different types of shoppers, there's different types of buyers. And I learned, like, I'm very much like a statistical, like, give me the facts, let me see that this works. And my favorite thing is the CEO of HotWorks has a blog that he updates, and he actually cites the research information of where he found it. So you can literally fact track everything.
That's awesome. I loved the experience when
You liked it?
I loved it.
What
Yeah.
did you do?
I did hot Pilates.
Love Pilates.
Yep.
Pilates is a big trend right now. So it's been really cool because you can do it 24 hours. It's so affordable for Pilates.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that. So one of the biggest things that I get asked about with HotWorks is how it all works. So I wanted to give you that chance to kind of explain it. So it's a 24-hour studio, and I'll let
Yes.
you take it from there.
So because HotWorks is a 24-hour studio, it's virtually led classes. So for HotWorks Latham, we have 9 saunas. 5 of them are dedicated to low impact, like yoga, Pilates, hot bar none. And then 4 of them are dedicated to our 15-minute HIIT classes. So when you're a member, you have unlimited access to as many classes as you want. So we call it a bonfire if you do a cycle into like a HIIT or I mean a cycle into an ISO. Um, So because of the infrared, it actually helps to increase your metabolic rate as well. So you burn more calories while you're working out, so you can work out for shorter durations. So that's why the HIIT classes are only 15 minutes. So you're getting a great workout. Like if I were to do a 15-minute cycle and then go do a 45-minute Pilates plus my afterburn, it ends up being close to 900 calories for my height and weight. So if I wanted to do that 3 to 5 times a week, it's going to end up getting me a gift card at the end of 90 days. And then I can use that gift card to go shopping. So it's like a fun little reward for showing up for myself too.
Yeah, it was awesome. I did a kind of a similar structure. I think I did the bonfire where I did hot cycle and then hot Pilates. And to your point, I mean, I'm used to hot temperatures because I do hot yoga very regularly at the hot yoga spot. But the infrared component and just the sauna element just really, obviously, it's hot. Like, to state the obvious, it's hot, but in a good way. I left just feeling really refreshed, and it was cool talking with Kelsey over at Hotworks Del Mar because she, like me, is also a big metabolic person. And one of my biggest frustrations with so much of the capital region fitness culture is this idea that you have to have like one spot and that's it and that's all.
Oh no, it's way more fun. Like grab your
Yeah,
girls, grab your boys, like go do a day pass somewhere. Like that's way more fun than going to a bar.
it's way more fun. Yeah, absolutely. And then, I mean, the structure of Hotworks just lends itself so well to be a great supplement for people who might do Orange Theory regularly or metabolic regularly. And just the combination of classes is so awesome because I love Pilates and I love that kind of intimate studio feel. But just the combination of things you can do there is just wild. So do you ever go in there like the middle of the night if you like you can't sleep and just, go on the bike or anything like that?
Um, I live an hour away, so I would
So
if I could.
probably
But
not.
I have an infrared sauna at home. I really
Okay.
do believe in infrared. My dad, growing up, he was always like, if I don't go in my 1 hour sauna and do my 1 hour spin every morning, I can't walk that day because he is RA too. So it's one of those things. Like I truly do believe in the whole science of it all. And Kelsey and the owner for Del Mar, Wendy, right?
I'm not sure. I didn't meet the owner. I just met
They
Kelsey.
came to Hotworks Latham while they were in their pre-sale phase, which was cool. So it's nice to see the brand growing. When we first opened up, there was like 500 locations. Now there's over 750 teams crushing it. Like I said, the best part is just seeing like the impact it's made on our members. Like I love getting to do the Warrior Wednesdays every Wednesday and getting to highlight and show them off for their hard work because it's cool. It really is life changing. For me, it was life changing to go from taking 2 painkillers a day to none. Even my teachers would comment at the Aesthetic Science Institute. The days that I would do my 5 a.m. workouts and then go to school, they would always point out my mental clarity was so sharp those days because you're detoxing. It's really helping to like flush out those toxins that are like causing brain fog and the endorphins from when you work out. You just leave in a better mood.
Yeah, and you light up talking about aesthetics too, which is
Mhm.
fun. So can you talk to me a little bit about where you are on that current journey and what are you looking to do with it moving forward?
Yeah, so I used to, like I said, work in the industry. And even years ago, I worked at a tanning salon that had spray tan and red light therapy. Um, so I always knew I was into the sales and marketing end of it because I have strong marketing skills as well. But because of my hands, I didn't think I could be an esthetician for years. But because of all of my hard work with occupational therapy, physical therapy, at school, my hands got stronger from doing the massage work and doing the facials. And by the end of my time there and graduating, you would never even know that I had arthritis, which is really fulfilling for me. So while I'm at Eden, I'll be able to do a hybrid position where I kind of get to do the medical assistant, do the esthetician, be the skincare sales, help out with social media. And they've been nothing but great for me. When I met them, I had just had a hemiplegic migraine and the whole right side of my face was drooping. It was like actually traumatizing. It took like it started spazzing like May of last year. So it's been about a full year now of me dealing with that. And I finally feel like I have my face back. And I'm just so thankful because they've just taken such great care of me. They have all these inflammation and wellness therapy treatments we're going to start doing that are going to flush inflammation from my system. So that way I can just thrive while I'm there. That's the best part because I yap so much about my personal experience. I already know so many people are going to be feeling better and coming to see them.
Well, you're a very good yapper about many topics that we've covered so far, so I want to affirm you for that. Uh, I like to I'm pitching like yoga and yap as some type of event at
That'd
some
be
point with
fun.
like hot yoga spot. Yeah. You are a terrific advocate for
Oh.
yourself and just the journey that you've been on and helping people. And I know our conversation is going to help somebody
Mm-hmm.
who just feels like maybe they're alone in whatever they're dealing with. And between my story, your story, that's the whole point of it, to just build a community where people can prioritize these things and not feel weird about it.
Oh, and even the number of people I've met through Hotworks who have like
Yeah.
they look normal just like us and they're dealing with stuff, and just to know someone else out there is having to deal with the same kind of BS and still pushing through and going to work and like doing the damn thing. Like
Yeah.
it's good to see sometimes where it's like, okay, you're not making it look easy, like life's not perfect, but you're still trying.
So what are some of your dreams, your bigger dreams that you're working on now in your life? Like as you work to manifest certain things, you're a woman of faith. What do those look like for you beyond the stuff we've already talked about?
So my brother and I's favorite show growing up was Shark Tank.
Great
So
show.
I have a very entrepreneurial mind and I have a lot of really great ideas. And I learned I can't always share it before it's ready to come out 'cause some people will snag them. So I won't talk about like what I'm like doing in detail, but I will say I restarted the nutrition program with NASA. So I want to put together a guide where I'm sharing my story, but also the resources that have helped me get to where I'm at now. And I'm very excited to try to involve my sister in it because of her herbalism that she does. She's been studying it for years. And I really want to do something with that and just create like the perfect anti inflammatory guide. So that's about as much as I'll say on that.
That's okay. I'm just smiling a bit because you're speaking my language about not revealing your hand.
I've been burned too many times because I have such a giving heart that I will give anyone their shirt off my back and have plenty of times. Like, and it's just when you see people take your ideas or you think you're just helping them collaborate and then they just go and do it without you, it stings. Like, so it kind of makes you not want to share it. And that's something I'm working through is learning how to trust people of like, who can I tell my truths to and not have it get taken advantage of.
Yeah, you've got to protect the vision and thinking for yourself and somebody who approaches entrepreneurial sensibilities from a creative standpoint. I think for me too, it's you have to protect the vision.
Mm-hmm.
If you can see it, there's a path forward. And that's
Mm-hmm.
the powerful thing of creation. And I think from a faith perspective, we can speak this language with each other. The amazing thing about being a person of faith is understanding that we are created in the image of God and
Mm-hmm.
that we are also able to be co creators.
Mm-hmm.
Creation is a divine gift and it's something that we are blessed with. But at the same time, we are given that vision. Other people are not necessarily given that vision too. So if you start putting stuff out there, people who don't see it, they don't get it for you to the point where you were growing, you had to leave certain people behind. Why are you expecting people who don't have that vision to understand it or see it?
It's one of those things I think you can want someone to see it so badly. And I don't want to make it seem like any of the past stuff is like discredited because people can be a moment in your life and be absolutely incredible, but just maybe not meant to be in the next chapters with you. And that's not to say they won't be in future chapters with you. But if they can't see the vision where you're at in that current time, you have to step away or else they're going to hold you back. Because if you just have 10 people telling you, no, you can't, no, you can't, no, you can't, it makes it really hard to listen to that one inside of you saying you can.
You have to be really careful about the people you put yourself around. And if you want to look at your life and how to be a better person, think about your friends. I think about that all the time. I love a lot of people in my life for different reasons, but thinking about entrepreneurial goals, I have that mindset as well. So for me, it's very important to have conversations with people like you who think who think entrepreneurially, I guess, about their dreams, because that's also important too, without like revealing your entire hand of your idea. Just being around people who are thinking that way, who are risk takers,
Mm-hmm.
creators, that's important. So
Yeah.
I'm also really grateful just again for the time that we've had together today, just to learn, for me to learn more about your journey.
Oh, thank you. It's cool. And my brother's a huge reason for like, it's like that sibling competition, you know? Because he owns a real estate investment firm in South Carolina. But when he was in college, he was the type of kid having the weekly meetings with the dean and like creating all these grants to give back to the local businesses in the area. And I feel like I was in a shadow growing up, which kind of gave me that extra kick in my step of like, all right, like I gotta keep going. Like I can't let him show me up this much. Like I gotta do something. So if you can follow your heart and make a difference and help people, and sometimes you just saying hi to people at the front desk, you just made that person's day sometimes. Like that's all it takes. So I don't know. It's just you have to take every day by day.
Yeah, you got to stay in the present. This is the sacrament of the ever present moment, to kind of quote this Catholic mystic I love to read. It is a ongoing muscle to stay right here, right now. I've
Hmm.
certainly been grateful to be in this moment with you right here, right now, and learn more about your incredible journey. So I want to ask you in closing, again, what an amazing story. And you're just getting started. I always love to think about that with Fitness Journey. Every day you're just getting started.
Hmm.
Going from being resuscitated as an infant to some of the potentially traumatic comments made about your physical appearance when you're younger, and then now looking at where you are now, what would you say to your younger self looking back at everything you've gone through?
Had to become her own like role model, you know? Like it just little me dealt with so much by myself, and it's weird to say, but I always knew that if I just kept going, it was going to happen. You know? You just have to keep going even when it doesn't look like it's in your way. Like you just have to keep going. Like you have to just focus on solutions, focus on what you can do. Stop playing the what if game of ruminating over 100 possible ideas. You just have to focus on the solutions and go. Get started. Start moving. The worst thing you can do is stay still. Because if you stay still, you're going to get stagnant. So I think because I always, no matter how small it is, those steps forward, you just always have to keep going.
You got to keep going, and you have to take action, and you have to have a healthy amount of ability, certainly, I think, thinking entrepreneurially, to pivot.
That's my favorite word. Did you know that was my favorite word?
I had a feeling it might be at least up there for you.
Oh my God, no, that's my favorite word. I plan on doing something with that one day, so don't steal it from me.
All right, maybe we'll put together like a tank top or a t-shirt.
It might be the name of a book one day.
Might be the name of a book.
We'll see.
All right. Well, until the next time we get to collaborate on something fun together, Kenzie, again, thank you so much for sitting down with me and sharing more about your really incredible and powerful journey.
Thank you so much for having me. Hopefully this gets anyone to, take those steps, just follow the path, keep being their own best friend, and even when it feels like you're alone, just keep going. You just have to keep going because you're going to find your people. So, that's my big takeaway. Keep going.
Keep going.
Mhm.